What if the same man who mocked you for being poor ends up kneeling in front of you, begging for a second chance? This is the powerful story of a homeless girl who was insulted, rejected, and pushed aside by a billionaire, only for fate to flip the script in the most unexpected way. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and comment below if this story touches your heart. The sun was hot, the kind that burns your skin and makes the road look like it's boiling. Amara wiped the sweat from her forehead with the edge of her old scarf. Her legs were tired. Her back ached. She had been walking since morning. She found a little tree beside a construction site and sat under it, pressing her back against the trunk. Her eyes closed for a second. Just a second. All she wanted was rest. Not food, not pity, just silence. Workers moved around the site, carrying blocks, mixing cement, shouting orders. Nobody noticed her. That was good. But peace doesn't last long for someone like her. A car engine roared in the distance. Smooth, expensive, powerful. Amara opened her eyes and looked up. A black SUV rolled in and parked like it owned the land. Men in reflective vests quickly gathered, wiping their faces and adjusting their clothes. The driver's door opened, and a tall man stepped out, dressed in a sharp suit. His wristwatch sparkled under the sun. His name was on everyone's lips. Kene, the owner of the site, the billionaire. He walked like he didn't need to look where he was going, like the ground itself knew not to trip him. His eyes moved across the site like a scanner, judging, calculating. Then they stopped. On her, he frowned. "Who is that?" he asked, loud enough for all to hear. A worker stammered, Just someone resting under the tree, sir." Kene's face turned dark. "Is this a public park? This is my site. I don't want vagrants lying around like this. Get her out of here." Amara stood up slowly. "Please, sir, I wasn't disturbing anyone. I just needed—" He cut her off with a wave of his hand. "Did I ask for your explanation? You think this is a charity home? Look at you. Can't you see you don't belong here?" She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. She looked down at her dusty slippers, her torn blouse, her dirty fingers. She swallowed hard. "Leave, now, before I call security." Her lips trembled. "Please, I'll go, just give me a minute. 1 second more and I'll have you dragged." The silence that followed was heavier than cement. She picked up her small bag, really just a black nylon, and began to walk away. Her shadow stretched long behind her as she moved into the sun. Every step felt like an insult. One of the workers muttered under his breath, "She wasn't doing anything wrong." Another whispered, "That man too proud." But no one said it loud. Amara kept walking. Amara had only one set of clean clothes. They weren't fancy, just a long skirt and a loose blouse. She had washed them by hand the night before and hung them near the kiosk where she slept. By morning they were dry enough. She wore them carefully, trying not to look too rough. Today was cleaning day. A woman who sold fruits near the junction had told her about a house in GRA that needed someone to clean for just 1 day. The pay was small, but better than nothing. Amara didn't ask too many questions. She just said, "Thank you," and promised to be early. When she got to the gate, a security man looked her over from head to toe. "You the cleaner?" "Yes, sir." He scoffed and opened the gate slowly, like he didn't want her smell to come in too fast. The house was big, marble tiles, flowers everywhere, glass doors that looked too expensive to touch. A woman in her mid-50s appeared at the door, wearing a silk robe. "You're the one they sent?" Amara nodded quickly. "Yes, ma. Good morning, ma." Don't touch anything you're not told to touch. Kitchen, bathroom, mop the floor, then go. Understood?" "Yes, ma. Thank you." She bent slightly in respect and entered quietly. As she began sweeping, she heard voices from the dining area. Laughter, male voices. She didn't look up. She scrubbed the bathroom tiles next, then wiped the mirrors. She was in the kitchen rinsing a mop when she heard footsteps. The laughter had moved closer, and then, "That smell, what's that?" a man said, half laughing. "She's the cleaner." Another voice replied. Then the first voice again, too familiar. "Cleaner, or chemical weapon?" Loud laughter followed. Amara paused. Her hand tightened on the mop handle. She turned slowly. And there he was, Kene, the same man who chased her from the construction site. Now standing by the fridge, holding a wineglass, dressed in white, smirking like he ruled the world. Their eyes met, his smirk widened. "You again?" he said, walking toward her. "Are you following me, or is this your grand plan, to sneak into rich people's houses one by one?" She said nothing. "You don't talk now? Smart move. Save your breath. It smells like survival." Another round of laughter. One of his friends chuckled awkwardly. "Come on, Kene, take it easy." He raised his hand. "I'm just joking. She knows I'm joking." Amara lowered her head. She couldn't trust her mouth. Her hands were shaking, from anger, from shame, from everything in between. She picked up the bucket, turned away, and continued mopping. Behind her, they kept talking, as if she wasn't even there. Just a cleaner, just a ghost in rags. When she finished, she washed her hands and went to meet the madam. "I'm done, Ma." The woman looked around. You missed under the table, but take this." She handed her some rumpled notes. Amara took the money with both hands, said thank you, and walked out with her head high, even though her chest burned. Outside the gate, the security man looked at her and smiled a little. "You strong, Shah." She didn't smile back. She just kept walking, one foot in front of the other. Her skirt stuck to her legs, her hands smelled like bleach. The money in her pocket was already wet from sweat. But it was something. The small kiosk where Amara slept was squeezed between a blocked gutter and a broken fence. It used to be a recharge card stall, but now only rats and mosquitoes lived there. And her. She folded a sack bag into a pillow and lay flat on the wooden floor. Rain had soaked one corner the night before. She just shifted to the dry side. Her stomach growled. She closed her eyes. In the morning, she washed her face with leftover sachet water, adjusted her scarf, and walked down the street. Her eyes scanned for work. Anything. Washing clothes, cleaning pots, packing dirt. Nobody looked at her. Some waved her away like a fly. At the mechanic's shed near the roundabout, a man shouted at her for standing too close. "Go away, I beg! You dey chase customer!" She nodded quietly and stepped back. She moved on. By afternoon, her legs felt heavy. The heat pressed down on her skin. A little girl offered her a sachet of water. She smiled and took it. "God bless you," she whispered. That evening, she found work helping a woman clean beans. The pay was small, just a plate of rice, but she ate it with her whole heart. Later, she sat by the roadside as cars zoomed past. Her skirt was dusty. Her toes were cracked. Her eyes watched the rich people's cars, tinted windows, clean tires, loud music. She didn't envy them. She just wished she had a bed. Not long after, a small boy ran up to her. "Auntie, do you have 10 naira?" She looked at him and smiled. "If I had 10 naira, I'd buy Puff Puff." He laughed and ran off. She watched him go, then looked up at the sky. Dark clouds were moving in again. At that same hour, across town, Kene was laughing at a dinner table with 2 business partners. He wore a gold wristwatch and designer shoes. His phone rang and he answered it smoothly. "Seal the deal. If they can't meet my price, walk away." Everyone nodded like he was a king. He poured more wine into his glass, raised it and said, "To winning." They clinked glasses and laughed again. At night, Amara returned to the kiosk. She laid down slowly, hugging her nylon bag like it had value. Around her, the city buzzed. Cars, dogs barking, music from a nearby beer parlor. Her eyes stayed open for a while, then finally they closed. Amara woke up early. Her bones were sore, but she got up before the sun. The kiosk was already hot inside, and mosquitoes had feasted on her legs through the night. She tied her scarf, dusted her skirt, and stepped out. Today, she was going back to the construction site. Not to beg, to work. When she arrived, the place was already busy. Men carried blocks, pushed wheelbarrows, and mixed cement with quick hands. She stood near the water drums, waiting. A man with cracked boots looked at her. "You find something?" "I fit help fetch water," she said. "You go work for small change, oh." She nodded. The man pointed to a yellow keg. "Start there." She didn't complain. She lifted, walked, poured. Over and over. Her arms ached. Her slippers slid in the red sand. Her palms turned white from gripping the wet plastic. The sun rose. It burned her skin. Sweat soaked her back. Nobody talked to her, but they saw her. They saw that she didn't rest. When it was time for break, someone handed her a small plastic bag of water. She nodded in thanks and sat under a block pile. By evening, she had fetched over 30 rounds of water. Her legs were shaking. The same man from earlier walked up to her. "You try well." He handed her a few rumpled notes. She counted them. It wasn't much, but it was enough to buy food for 2 days. She smiled, not big, but real. "Thank you." He nodded. "If you come tomorrow, come early." She tied the money in her scarf and began to walk home. As she walked, the wind picked up. The clouds above turned dark. Thunder rumbled far away. Then rain started to fall. She didn't run, she just walked slower, covering her head with her hand. When she got to the kiosk, she was wet, but not bothered. She folded her skirt and sat on the floor. Her hands were raw, her back was sore, but she had earned something. For once, her hunger wasn't worse than her pain. Amara didn't return to the construction site the next day. Her back was in pain from all the bending and carrying. The muscles around her shoulders felt like someone had tied ropes around them. Even lifting her arm to tie her scarf that morning made her wince. She needed another way to earn, something she could manage with her body still aching. She walked down to the main junction and met a woman selling cold drinks and biscuits under a big umbrella. "Good morning, Ma," Amara greeted. "You fit allow me hawk for you today? I no get work. I go return everything I sell." The woman looked her over. "You go bring the money complete, no loss. I go give you small commission." Amara nodded quickly. "I go return everything, Ma." The woman handed her a small cooler packed with sachet water, a few drinks and biscuits. "No spoil anything," she warned. Amara lifted the cooler carefully and placed it on her head. She entered the traffic as the sun began to rise. Cars lined the road. Buses stopped half in the lane, half out. Conductors shouted destinations. Drivers honked, "Pure water, biscuit, cold drink." She called out, weaving between the vehicles. She made a few sales. One sachet here, one drink there. It gave her hope. Then it happened. As she rushed to reach a car near the front of the line, her foot sank deep into a pothole filled with muddy water. She lost balance. The cooler crashed to the ground. The lid flew open, biscuits scattered, some sachets burst, one bottle cracked and spilled everywhere. Horns blared, people shouted. "Leave road! You won die!" Amara dropped to her knees and began gathering what she could. Her hands shook. She picked up the soaked biscuits, tried to wipe the cracked bottle. She held the cooler tight against her chest and sat beside the road. Tears ran down her face. She didn't even know if the woman would let her explain. After some time, she stood and dragged the cooler back toward the woman's stall. The woman took one look and hissed. "You scatter my goods," she said. "Cooler don break. Biscuit don soak. Water don burst, so who go pay me?" "I fall for road," Amara said quietly. "I try save am." "You try?" the woman barked. "You try to lose my money?" Amara said nothing more. The woman waved her off. "I know they pay anything. In fact, nami you owe. Next time, no come here. Amara lifted the now empty cooler and walked away without a word. She found a corner beside a locked shop and sat down. Her legs hurt. Her heart beat too fast. She lowered her head into her hands and cried. Amara didn't leave the kiosk the next morning. Her body was still. Her face, swollen from crying, rested against the cold zinc wall. The woman's words from the day before echoed in her mind. Don't come here again. Her fingers moved across the wooden floor, searching for the scarf she used as a pillow. She found it, pressed it to her face, and closed her eyes again. By midday, hunger forced her out. She tied the scarf, brushed the dust from her skirt, and began walking. She didn't have a destination. Her slippers scraped against the road as she passed parked buses, gutters, and fruit sellers. Eventually, she found herself near an old mechanic workshop. It was noisy and full of activity. Men with greasy hands hammered car parts. Sparks flew under a lifted vehicle. The smell of petrol and oil filled the air. Next to the shop was a small food stand, where smoke rose from large pots and ripe plantains fried in hot oil. Behind the table, she saw a girl, someone familiar. Amara, the girl called out surprised. Amara gave a tired smile. Is that really you? She nodded. The girl wiped her hands on a cloth and came closer. Where have you been? You still live around here? I'm just managing, Amara said quietly. Have you eaten? Amara didn't answer. Before she could speak, the girl filled a small plate of rice and handed it to her. Take it. Don't worry, it's free. Amara held the plate gently. Her hands shook. Thank you. She sat near the corner of the shop and ate slowly. Her eyes stayed on the mechanics. One man was trying to loosen a rusted bolt. Another lay flat under a car. One boy was wiping down a tire. They all moved with focus. There was something about the way they worked, the strength in their arms, the precision in their hands. She finished eating and stood up. Something inside her pushed her forward. She walked over to one of the boys cleaning tools. Good afternoon, she said softly. He looked up. Good afternoon. Please, I want to learn this work. He blinked. You want to learn mechanic? Yes, she said. I'll do my best. He laughed a little and turned to call someone. Uncle, this girl says she wants to learn. An older man with an oil-stained shirt came over. He looked at Amara from head to toe, then at her hands, thin, scratched, and tired. You want to work here? He asked. I'm ready to learn, she replied. He paused. You'll start with cleaning and errands. If you do well, we'll teach you step by step. Amara nodded quickly. Thank you. He turned to go, then looked back. Have you eaten today? She hesitated. My sister runs the food stand beside us, he said. Help her out in the evenings and she'll give you food. Amara's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. I'll do it. I'm grateful. That evening she swept the buka, washed dishes, and helped pack the leftovers. She also cleaned around the workshop and organized tools the way she saw others do. Nobody clapped. Nobody paid her. But for the first time in a long time, someone gave her a chance. Amara arrived at the workshop every morning before anyone else. She wore the same clothes each day, a long skirt and a loose shirt, but she made sure they were clean. Her scarf was always tied tight. Her eyes stayed focused. She swept the floor, scrubbed greasy tools, and ran errands for the mechanics. No complaints, no talking back. Instead of sitting when the others rested, Amara watched how they worked. She didn't just look, she studied. One day the older mechanic waved her over. Try open that, he said, pointing to a car battery clamp. Amara stepped forward, picked the right tool, and got it loose. The man gave a short nod. Good. After that, things began to shift. He started letting her check oil levels, loosen bolts, tighten screws. Slowly, she moved from cleaner to assistant. Customers noticed. "That girl, she did my brake last time," one man said. Another asked, "Is she here today? I want her to check mine." Amara didn't respond. She just kept working. Her hands turned dark from oil, but her face stayed calm. Every task became a test, and she passed each one. At night, she still helped at the food stand, washed pots, cleared trays, swept the dusty ground. The woman gave her a plate of food and sometimes leftover stew to take home. She didn't eat fast. She ate like someone who once had nothing. A few days later, the workshop owner pulled her aside. "You've done more than I expected," he said. "I can't offer much, but I know someone renting a small room. You shouldn't be sleeping in a kiosk." Her chest tightened. "Sir, I don't know what to say." He waved his hand. "Say thank you, then go and rest well." They found a one-room space behind a nearby building. No fan, no tiles, no bed, just 4 walls, a door, and peace. That night, Amara swept twice. She laid her scarf on the floor and used her plastic bag of clothes as a pillow. She looked around at the bare room, her own space. No noise, no one watching. She didn't cry, she just laid down and let sleep carry her. From that day forward, her work changed. She didn't just do small jobs. She handled full repairs when her boss was out. People greeted her with respect. A woman once said, "You're quiet, but you know what you're doing." Amara just smiled. Each evening she cleaned her tools and kept them in a blue container beside her corner. She counted her pay, separated food money, and tucked the rest into an envelope under her scarf. One evening she bought roasted corn from the roadside. As she waited, she looked at her hands, scarred, dry, black with grease. A few weeks ago, those same hands dropped a cooler in the middle of traffic. Now they fixed engines. The sun was harsh by late morning, and traffic was building fast. Ken was behind the wheel of his black car, sunglasses on, focused on getting to an important business meeting. But just before he could make the turn into the main road, the car began to slow down. He pressed the pedal again. Nothing. The car coasted to a stop by the roadside. "Seriously?" he muttered, annoyed. He stepped out, loosened his tie, and opened the bonnet. Steam hissed up. He stared at the engine like it might explain itself. He pulled out his phone and dialed his mechanic. "Tony, the car just stopped." "I'm not around, boss," came the reply, "but I'll send someone. She's nearby." "She?" "Yes, she's good. You'll be fine." Ken ended the call with a sigh. About 10 minutes later, a yellow tricycle pulled up by the edge of the road. A tall girl stepped out, holding a toolbox in one hand. She wore a faded jumpsuit. Her scarf was tied tightly behind her head. Her face looked calm, too calm. She crossed the road with quiet confidence and walked straight toward him. Ken squinted. "Amara." She stopped a few steps in front of him and dropped her tool bag on the ground. He stared at her, speechless. She didn't greet him. Instead, she said, "Call someone else." Ken blinked. "Excuse me." "I'm not fixing this car," she said. "You told me I wasn't good enough to be near your world. You made it clear. Find someone else." Ken stood frozen. She folded her arms. "I didn't forget the way you treated me." For a few seconds, all he could do was look at her. Then, slowly, Ken lowered himself to the ground and knelt beside the car. "I'm sorry," he said. She didn't answer. "I was wrong. I spoke to you like you were beneath me. I didn't know your story. I didn't care. But now, please, I need your help." She looked at him, stone-faced. "I have a meeting I can't miss," he added, voice low. "And you're the only one who can fix this." The moment dragged. Cars drove past. A few people stared. Most didn't care. Finally, Amara stepped forward. "Open the bonnet properly," she said. Kene stood and did it. She pulled her tools out of the bag and got to work. Her movements were quick, clean, and confident. She didn't ask him anything else. 10 minutes later, she stepped back and wiped her hands. "Start the car," she said. Kene got in, turned the key. The engine came to life. He stepped out slowly. "You fixed it." Amara zipped up her tool bag and started walking away. "Wait, please, take something," he said, reaching for his wallet. She didn't look back. "Keep it." Then she crossed the road again and disappeared into the crowd. Kene sat behind his office desk, staring at the computer screen, but he wasn't reading anything. His mind had drifted, again. The deal on the table was worth millions. He should have been focused. But all he could think about was the girl who walked away after fixing his car. The same girl he once called worthless. He had knelt in public, and for the first time in years it didn't bother him. His staff knocked and entered. "Sir, should I prepare the car?" Kene blinked. "No, I'll drive myself." That afternoon, instead of heading home, he drove toward the street where the mechanic workshop was located. Slowly, windows up, music off. He parked at the far corner and watched from inside. She was there, Amara, hair tied back, sleeves rolled up, oil on her arms. She was helping an older man pull off a tire. She didn't notice him, or maybe she did and ignored him. He didn't get down. He just watched for a while, then drove away. The next day, he did the same thing. And the next. By the fourth visit, someone in the area noticed him and waved. Kene rolled down his window and asked, "That girl, the tall one, she works here?" "Yes, that's Amara. She's sharp," the man said. Kene nodded and drove off again. That evening, Amara was packing up her tools when one of the younger mechanics said, "Some rich man's been watching you this week." She didn't respond. "You know him?" Amara tightened the lid of her oil bottle. "I've fixed his car before. Looks like he wants more than repairs." Amara ignored the comment and walked toward the food stand. The next morning, Kene came earlier. This time he got down. He crossed the road and walked up to the workshop. The older mechanic looked up, surprised. "Yes? You need help?" "I'm looking for Amara." She stood behind the parked van, cleaning brake parts. When she heard her name, she came out slowly. Kene turned to her. "Can we talk?" "I'm working," she said. "After work, then." Amara looked at her boss, who gave a small nod. "Go. 5 minutes." They walked a short distance down the street, stopping beside a quiet wall. "I didn't come here to disturb you," Kene said. "I just wanted to say thank you. Properly." "You said it that day already," she replied. "I know," he said, "but I wanted to say it again." She didn't respond. He tried again. "Can I take you to lunch sometime?" Amara raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "To talk. To make things right." "There's nothing to make right," she said. "You don't owe me anything. I don't need anything from you." He nodded slowly. "Okay." She turned to leave, then paused. "You shouldn't come here again. People will talk." Kene didn't say a word. Amara walked back toward the workshop. He watched her go, her steps steady, her back straight. He didn't follow. Kene didn't show up for a few days. Amara noticed. She didn't say anything, but something about the workshop felt quieter, without his car slowing by the corner or his shoes tapping against the pavement. She told herself it didn't matter. There was too much work to do anyway. The days rolled on. Hot sun, greasy hands, tired feet. Then one Thursday afternoon, a woman pulled into the workshop with a flat tire. Amara offered to help. The bolts were tight, and the jack kept slipping from under the car. She pressed her foot against it, wiped her forehead, and kept trying. Then a shadow appeared beside her. "I'll hold it," Kene said quietly. She froze for a second, then glanced at him. He was in a plain shirt and jeans, no suit, no watch. He looked down at the jack and knelt beside her. She didn't speak. He held the jack steady while she loosened the bolts. Neither of them said a word as they worked. When the tire finally came off, Amara stood and wiped her hands. "Thank you," she said, not looking at him. Kene gave a small nod and stepped back. He didn't ask for anything. He didn't stay long. He just walked away. The next day, he came again. Amara was behind the shop, washing her hands after lunch, when she heard his voice behind her. Still the hardest working person in the city. She turned. Kene. No car. No sunglasses. Just him. Amara wiped her hands with a cloth. "I didn't come to make a scene," he added. "I came to ask if you'll let me take you to dinner." She looked him over. "You're not tired?" "Not yet." Amara walked past him back into the workshop. Kene didn't move. He waited by the gate. She came out again 5 minutes later, holding her bag and scarf. "You're lucky I don't like eating alone," she said. His face lit up. Not too much, just enough. They walked to his car, quietly. Dinner was not in a fancy restaurant. He took her to a quiet local spot that served grilled fish and soft yam. They sat outside under a yellow bulb while the smoke from the kitchen drifted through the air. They didn't talk about the past, they didn't talk about the future. Just simple things. She told him how she learned to change a tire by watching closely. He told her how he failed his first business. She laughed once. He smiled the whole time. By the end of the evening, he dropped her off by the junction. "I can walk from here," she said. "You don't have to." "I want to." He nodded. As she stepped out of the car, he leaned slightly toward her window. "Can I see you again?" "You just did," she said, then walked away. The next day, he came again. No big car, no loud talk. Just him. And she let him sit with her during lunch break. The visits continued, slow, quiet, respectful. People in the area whispered, but Amara didn't explain. One evening, he walked her home. She let him. Another week passed. Then another. Until one night, under the streetlight outside her small apartment, he took a quiet breath and said, "I want to do this the right way." She looked at him, unsure. "I know I don't deserve it," he added, "but I'd like to spend the rest of my life making up for the way I saw you before." Amara didn't speak. She opened her gate and stepped inside. Then turned slightly and said, "If you're serious, come back tomorrow." She closed the gate gently. He stood there smiling to himself. For once he wasn't in control. And it didn't bother him at all. He came back the next day, and they've been madly in love ever since.